Hey, it's the Chief from the Dice Tower. I am Ahab and I have found my white whale, folks. This is the solo expansion for the second edition, or second printing of Awakening the Bear. Hello! The white whale has arrived, all right? For those that don't know, this went through a lot of delays. John Butterfield was doing the design for it, kind of with the D-Day Tarawa, D-Day Normandy system with all the little figure, the little symbols and stuff. And it was about ready to be released. And then it got kind of overhauled completely because Gunter Eichert had come up with some great ideas, and they ran with that. Academy Games ran with that. You've got Uwe, and I always say your name wrong, sorry sir, Gunter and John all listed as co-designers on here. The heart of this system is a deck of cards. Let's go in and I will show you those, and then we're going to come back and I may gush. See you guys right back. Okay, for those that haven't actually seen a map or played the second edition of Awakening the Bear, I've set up one of the maps. Now I will tell you, these maps are flat out gorgeous. The hill, you can see how it's 3D represented as a hill along with this hill up here. The light covered trees, which don't offer as much protection, are kind of got a frosted silverness to them, whereas the heavy trees, the heavier forested trees, provide a lot more cover, and you can just reference and see that so clearly. The hills, the elevation change, and the village. So it's a beautiful game. Matter of fact, let me just put this right in on front. So Conflict of Heroes, the solo expansion. I'm going to basically show you what's inside here. Normally I'll pitch these boards, but I wanted to keep them in there so you can kind of see. I'll pull these out. These cards are the heart of the system, and we're going to be taking a much closer look at those. You've got some extra counters that these give you. I'll reference these a little bit later. I'm blanking on their name, but they're fog of war. It's possible enemy units. And sometimes you'll be called to put them on the board. And that way it tells you, hey, there might be something there, but you don't know. And you're going to have to sometimes shoot into it and find out if something's there or not. This is just the one set of counters that came with the game. You are going to have, if you've played the game, you're going to recognize the difference. This player mat, player board does not include what are called APs. APs are usually a whole other green line, similar to what these caps look like. I'm not even going to say anything more about them, just that they're not here. Those that have played know the system. And then you've got, you got a great player aid. Academy Games is always top notch. You've got the rules, which, by the way, full color, everything in red is walking you through what they just explained to you, and anything in blue is actually the designer's notes telling you, hey, this is why we did this, or this is something to watch out for. Very easy to read, full color, glossy. They take a picture of the map, it's the same quality picture, and it just walks you through, hey, over here, this is what's happening. This is how this card works. You will not find better rulebook layouts, in my opinion, than Academy Games and the Conflict of Heroes way they do things. Just phenomenal, easy to learn. Solo missions, so I'm going to show you a little bit. Again, you can see the map you're going to be using is fully displayed. It's a direct rendering, and it shows you exactly where the guys go. This makes setup so easy, it's not even funny. All right, then you've got the color text, the units that are going to be using. The mission track is crucial because as you're moving through, this is going to tell you when this game is over, end of mission. And they're able to throw in flavor text in here. And sometimes some things will be skipped because of the randomness of the cards and how some of the cards work. Whereas if you're on another mission, all right, now this is end of mission scoring, but anything with this little yellowish flag cannot be skipped even if a card would normally skip it. The cards also do multiple things, one of which is work as time counters and movers. So again, gorgeous, all right, and just great, great layout. All right, a couple things with these cards, and I may do some still shots too, or I may end up zooming in. But first thing is you've got command cards. These are the blue cards as opposed to these green ones. These blue ones work as command and control. You have caps in the game, which you can spend in a normal two-player game to modify a die roll, to get a unit that's already been used and is spent to do something a little bit extra that normally they wouldn't be able to do. There's all these different things caps can do, and these cards simulate that. The green cards work as just normal AP or action point cards, and I'm going to go in and get a little bit tighter focus on these. All right, I'm super tight, but I wanted to show you the order, the priority order that you're going to go through. So if you've got, it's the AI's turn and they've got a unit that is in close combat. In other words, they've got an enemy unit right in the same hex as them. They're going to fire, or if they're disrupted and suppressed, they're going to auto rally. Then you move into the other priority move, which is short range, and you can see the order always matters. If you can, the first thing you're going to do is fire, and if for whatever reason you can't or something's going on, especially here, it's going to tell you to pivot. You do have, I should put it on here, you do have a facing. So this would be the hex right in front of me, and my range would be these hexes off to the side. So if a unit was behind the AI and he couldn't fire, and so he can't fire, he's going to pivot. And if he can't do that, maybe again he's completely disrupted, he's whatever, you're going to rally. So you can see how this stair-step system works. Now let's say you're not in close combat, you're not in short range, then you're going to move into these tactical systems. So if you're looking at, number one, a hit means a unit that's been hit. So an artificial intelligent unit that's been hit that is closest to a unit. A unit always references you. So in other words, I'm getting ready to destroy this AI unit, and this is telling it, hey, it's hit, and it's going to auto rally. Now, if that condition doesn't exist, that's nowhere on the board, then I'm going to drop down. This is going to be the AI, the artificial intelligence farthest away from a hit unit, is going to fire, and then you're going to be able to add caps to it. If that isn't in play, you're going to stair step down to farthest unit from the lowest DV, which is defensive value. So if you're in the woods, you're going to have a very high defensive value. So you're going to be factoring these in as you move down, and then you're going to have execute mission orders. So in the actual scenario missions, you'll have a little mission order that might say, hey, we've got to seize a victory point location. So boom, nothing else fits here, you're going to go do this. All right, now we get down to this bottom little row here. Ignore this for just a second. This little area here with the equal to or greater than symbol is the area that's going to tell you whether or not an action you took is going to cause that unit to be spent. So a spent unit, this would be an unspent unit. If they're spent or exhausted, they're flipped over and they can't do anything. They're done for that little short round. So let's say though, let's say this unit, this would be a perfect unit. I'll bring him on here. All right, if he fired, so he fires, he does a combat action, you resolve that action, and then you flip the next card and it happens to be this card here. Equal to or greater than 2? Yes, this unit would be flipped. But this is his move. This is how much it costs this unit to move. And let's say he just moves 1 hex. Well, now he would not be spent, and you would not flip him over. Now I'm going to point this out at this point in time. This little check on the head thing can be turned on or off, and this applies not to the artificial intelligence, but to the human player. What this says is, if you flip this over and you're going to just check this AP usage and it's got this little head on it, you can ignore it. It's an automatic deal where the unit isn't spent. Now you can turn that off. It says if you want to make it a little more challenging, just ignore it. This little area down there I'll explain just shortly. It can tell you where to put units onto the map. So it has, G11, boom, you're going to put a unit there that's going to match a certain symbol. And that kind of comes from the Butterfield system. I don't think this one has the symbol on it either. So, but that's how these basic command cards work. The AP cards are very similar. I'm going to walk you through one just real quick and you'll have a feel for these cards. Now I want to move down to the tactical areas. So highest fire point AI closest to a fresh unit that has just acted. So what you're going to do is you're going to be looking at your units, and let me kind of show you real quick. Your fire point value is this rifle unit has got a little bit lower fire point value than this SMG unit. So you would know, as long as you had one possible, that this SMG unit is going to take this action as long as all the rest of the rules here fit. Then you've got your AI closest to a fresh unit, it's going to fire, and then an unhit AI, so it hasn't been hit, it's got no hit marker on it, closest to a target, and it's going to just move towards it. Then you come back down into this area, and this is one of those cards. Let me show you one that doesn't have a 1 on it. Here, we'll just pull one of these out. All right, so if you flip this over, let's say, hey, we just did this move here. We now flip the next card. Boom, this would be great because the odds, it's possible, but the odds are I did not do an action point that was equal to or greater than 5, especially if I was shooting with my SMG. He would have done a 3. So in Conflict of Heroes, you have event cards. And some of the event cards are just like this, where they've got an interesting little situation where you can play this card. It's going to do an automatic rally, but it can cost you 2 APs or 2 caps. And I've already told you, you're not using the typical APs in this game. Normally you have your little chart, you just pay your 2 APs, you're good to go. So you're saying, can I still use this? Yes, you can. So whatever unit you're going to automatically rally, you're going to have to do a check, just like if you spent 2 APs doing anything else, and you're going to have to flip a card over. Now, if you flip this over, that unit is going to be spent. All right, but if I'd gotten lucky and flipped this over, instead, hey, it's not greater than or equal to 3, and the unit would still be active. So you can still use all of these cards. This flip system works in perfectly. Another real nice touch are these rumored enemy units. Now this one's spent and this one's fresh, and in certain scenarios you're given these and they're treated just like regular units. So you're moving them around, you're flipping cards and seeing if they're spent or if they're not spent. They don't have any facing on them, but they may or may not be units, and you don't know as the human player, because there's certain things you have to do to find out if they're real or not. I love it, guys. I'm telling you, I haven't been getting as much play in with this. I've actually got a buddy of mine that he shows up at the game night that our group has, and I'm over playing a Euro, and he starts beating me over the head saying, when are we going to play some more of Conflict of Heroes? And I say, yes, I know. And it's mostly because of kids and job and just life in general. And when I get together to game, I'm usually gaming kind of with more like 4 or 5 people, and I'm not really doing a 2-person game. That being said, there is some stuff with the firefight generator that I'll talk about in another video that allows you to do 4-player games. But now I can also play on my own. Now my buddy's probably going to slap me around because he knows I'm going to be getting in some game time solo. But the cards, the use of the cards where you have the blue command cards and it's dubbing in as the cat for the AI, and the fact that there's no AP being spent, there's no use your AP, flip it over. It's simply do your move, flip a card to check and see if that unit's now spent based on the system of greater than or equal to the AP that you just action you did, and then drive on. So that unit may get to go multiple times. You can now switch over to another unit and go move someone else. It's perfect. Now, I didn't use the default 7 APs, and if you haven't played the game, I'm sorry, I'm getting real deep into baseball here. I used to use a 3-dice means testing system where we counted up, and then when you were done with your moves, you verified and showed. It was phenomenal, and I still love that, but you can't do that solo. You can't solitaire that way. And when I did play solitaire, yeah, there's no fog of war. It's all open information. It's just, wow, is the dice going to hit or is it not? And this brings in the hidden, I'm forgetting their full name now, but the like unknown units. There may be a unit there, and you've got to assume it could be because it literally could be a unit, or heck, nope, not. All right, so there's fog of war built into here, and the use of the AP system is intact and done in a way that works. The use of these cards that you're going to go down that hierarchy level, priority, hey, close combat, boom, we've got to do this. Oh, there's none of that going on. What about short range? Yes, no. What about now tactical? And the cards being slightly different. Move toward, move away. You know, the unit with the highest firepower is going to shoot. And then what I love is Rule 42. I call it Rule 42. It's the common sense rule. All right, it basically says if a unit would do X, even if this system somewhere along the way, and I haven't run into that, is telling you to do something that doesn't seem intuitive, go with the common sense solution. That's what they would do. Love it. And it says if you're ever in conflict, refer back to Rule 42. Now, I'll tell you the closest this system reminds me, it's nowhere near even identical, but it reminds me of some of those same kind of mechanics that was in Ambush, that is in Ambush, which is a game from 1983, a solitaire game. That you would have this, hey, do this if this fits, or do this if that fits, and it made for a very intuitive artificial intelligence. And you were under the gun, and bad things happened to you, and you were mad, and even on occasion you thought about cheating. Don't cheat. Or I got a buddy that says, try not to cheat too much, but then, hey, if you're having fun, tweak that rule, cheat that thing. Don't cheat. All right, guys. I've been waiting for this a long time. I love it. I am thrilled. Their only possible negative that you're going to get out of this, and I'm going to tell you right up front, is some people are going to balk at the $45 MSRP because it's a deck of cards, it's the rule book, it's the mission book, and some counters. And they're going to go, wow. But I'm telling you, you know, if you want to play this solitaire, this system does it. But I'm going to let you know. Bingo. Chief, Dice Tower, White Whale, Ahab. See you guys. Bye.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.